Hey guys, how's it going? So sticking to the iPhone trend, in this video we get to talk about another iPhone. That's right, today we are going to be talking about the iPhone 6 Plus that came out in 2014, and let's see how it holds up 8 years later in 2022. The iPhone 6 Plus is an interesting device. It was the first large display device Apple ever made, coming at a solid 5.5-inch display. 2014 was also the first time Apple released two devices in the same year, the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus. The iPhone 6 and 6 Plus was an upgrade from the 5S, and it was quite a significant upgrade as well, more noticeably bringing the larger displays, the iPhone 6 having a 4.7-inch display and the 6 Plus having a 5.5-inch display. Now, on the front, it has an IPS panel with a decent amount of bezels. Comparing it to some newer designs that are out in the market today, the design does feel a little aged, but despite that, it's actually a pretty good looking panel. On the bottom, it has a lightning port and a headphone jack, which is cool to see considering this is one of the last iPhones to have one. It wasn't the last one, but one of the last ones. It's got the volume button and the power button at the side and a home button, which is also a throwback since the home button isn't really a common thing in flagship smartphones anymore. Now, design-wise, it's got smooth sides as they decided not to go with a flat design this time around after the iPhone 4 and 5. Build quality-wise, this iPhone still feels and looks premium. It's got an aluminium back which looks great, and it's got a single camera setup, but it lacks wireless charging. Now, the cameras on this thing are pretty decent. It has a single 8-megapixel camera at the back and a 1.2-megapixel camera on the front. You can record 1080p videos on this phone, which is good, but overall this camera setup is decent. It's not something special, but it does struggle under low light. You can still get decent results under better lighting, but it doesn't compete well with the phones out today. Now, software-wise, this phone came with iOS 8 and ended on iOS 12, which isn't that bad. It works smoothly with iOS 12. It's not the fastest, but it can easily get things done. So even though it's technically no longer supported, it's still not completely outdated considering it got 8 years of software and security updates, making it one of the longest supported devices ever. Now, moving on to the battery life, it has a 2950 mAh battery, which is good even today, but over time the battery has degraded and it's not really that great anymore. So you might want to get it replaced, but other than that, I think you'll be fine when it comes to the battery life. In terms of performance, this thing has the Apple A8 chip inside of it with 1GB of RAM, and it's a pretty good performing phone. It's definitely not the fastest, but it works pretty smooth for a phone that came out in 2014. You can get away with doing basic tasks on this easily. So, I would recommend getting an iPhone 6 Plus, but only if you are the type of person who does simple things like checking social media apps, browsing the web, watching YouTube videos, something like that. Basically, this is a good option for consumer-oriented customers. But if you are a creator, if you are someone who does heavy usage, like maybe playing games and stuff like that, then getting something like an iPhone 8 would be better. So for my final thoughts on this device, the iPhone 6 Plus is one of those devices that changed the direction of the iPhone by introducing large displays for the first time. And that's a big reason why people loved the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus so much when it first came out. So in terms of whether I would recommend getting an iPhone 6 Plus in 2022, I'd say there's still life in this device. If you are someone who wants to get into the Apple ecosystem on a budget, then getting an iPhone 6 Plus makes sense. And if you own one, I'd say you can still make use of it for another year or two. Now, an iPhone 6s and 6s Plus makes a lot more sense to be still using in 2022, as they still get software update all the way till iOS 15. But in terms of my recommendation, upgrading to something like an iPhone 8 makes a lot more sense as it still has iOS support for now and for the future. But I would say get an iPhone 6s or 6s Plus because they have iOS support even in 2022. So that pretty much covers it up. If you have any more questions, leave it down in the comment section below, and don't forget to like, it would mean so much to me. But most importantly, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.